O tātou.
Catherine Delahunty.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker, tēnā koutou te whare. He mihi nui ki te whānau o te rangatira Mokomoko, me te whakatohia hapu iwi katoa tēnā koutou. Thank you for coming here today to hold us to account and for your persistence in doing that. For myself and my party, the Green Party, we believe that the treaty gives us a place to stand if we honour it, but you are holding us consistently to account for our failure to do that, both as the Crown and as a culture, and we are grateful to you for that holding to account that you have done at great cost, a price that you have paid for many, many years. Mr Speaker, I'd like to speak a little bit about the concept of apology, the history of the Opotiki region, and the way in which colonisation targets individuals in order to commit raupatu, which has been manifest through the story of the rangatira that we speak about in the House today. And having lived in the Rohi, my mother-in-law lived for many years at Ohiwa, driving through those beautiful, wealthy, fertile lands, the question remains, is the price paid? Is enough price paid yet? And have people been given the right to regain their resources? The answer is no, but this is a step along the way. Other speakers today, Mr Speaker, and particularly the Minister, have well traversed some of the history. And the 1860s were an incredible time in the history of Indigenous peoples right around the world, because if you look at the histories of Indigenous people in North America as well as Aotearoa, that was a time when confiscation and death descended upon many of those communities because of the resources and the power that they held. And so the colonisers wanted the resource, and so they had to find a way to get it. If you read the history of the Rohi, or hear it spoken on the marae, or study Judith Binney's contribution, you'll see the way in which Tūhoi, Whakatohia and the Mātātua Waka in general paid the price for the aspirations of the Crown. And it is often paid by a particular whānau. And that whānau, in this instance, the whānau of Mokomoko, has held us to account. And up till this day, the Crown has not yet succeeded. So we look forward to the passing of this bill and succeeding to apologise in the full meaning of apology. The description that some people have given of the humiliation and the murder of Mokomoko is a very moving story. And again, as with many of the stories, it's not just a story, it's a reality. And it's a particular reality for the descendants. I would love to do a poll of the landowners, the Pākehā landowners of the Whakatohia region, and ask them how many of them know the story of Mokomoko and the role of the Crown. Because having been to the church where Vulcana was murdered, I do not see a story in that town in English that tells Pākehā how this occurred. Because if we do not tell the truth, we do not really hear our own part in history. And history is always in front of us. History is a very important part of who all of us are in Aotearoa, if Te Tiriti o Waitangi is to be fully honoured. The colonisation process does target an individual, and they target the individual in order to create the opportunity. So Mokomoko was the opportunity for the raupatu. And Vulcana's death, the death of one missionary, became an opportunity not only to murder an innocent man, but to confiscate vast areas, to rape literally, and to pillage literally. And the waves and ripples of that action that this whānau have come to ask us to take responsibility for continue to this day. But it is often through the story of a person that we can come to understand the bigger history. And that's why this story needs and must to be told. I'd also like to speak about the issue of pardon. Now, I find pardon quite a strange word for an innocent person. I think the issue of apology, the word apology is the most powerful word. Because we need to look at what happened, and we need to look at in 1992, and we need to look at what is being put forward very positively in this bill today. The first pardon was not negotiated. And if we talk about what apology is, and apology is going to ring true, all apology, but particularly ones between the state, the Crown, and wronged families and iwi katoa need to be properly negotiated. They need to be a genuine expression of contrition with a clear commitment not to repeat or reinforce in any way that action. And that is something that needs to happen, and that is a process that doesn't stop merely with historical process, but with contemporary process. And we need to talk about Tūhoi in this instance, and whether any government is prepared to apologise to them for what happened in Ruatoki in 2005. The contemporary refusals to apologise for breaches of behaviour, of legitimate behaviour by the Crown, does risk the credibility of what we're doing. We are talking about the fact that history lives on, and it is good that we are apologising. We need to look at all the things, all the hara, all the hurts that need to be addressed, so that this apology is given as respect along with all the others. The other key element of an apology is when it is accepted. Because if an apology is accepted, then healing can begin between the parties. And that is why it's really awesome to see the descendants that are here today accepting the apology offered in this bill. And that was the problem with the 1992 apology, is that it differentiated between Ngāti Awa and whakatohia, which is a unfortunate, maybe well-intentioned action, but if you do not consult, then it's still justice denied. Because justice denied is when the person or the state defines what that justice is. The state cannot, under treaty, define the meaning of justice or any apology. The state must negotiate in the relationship, and that's about starting with consultation and negotiation, as this bill does. So we celebrate that. Mr. Speaker, I'd also just like to talk about the role of the state in causing the death of individuals. The death penalty was repealed in 1958, but it was too late for these people. I remember as a child sitting by the radio listening to Parliament when the death penalty was repealed. My father was one of the people who worked for the repeal of the death penalty. And one of the reasons he did that was because the Crown can make mistakes, and the Crown can cause harm and make use of innocent individuals. And so it's important for the Crown to recognise the seriousness of the situation when it uses the death penalty. And so it's a good thing we no longer have the death penalty, but it will not restore the situation. This needs to happen in a process which is starting here today. Like the descendants of Te Kooti, the people who are stigmatised by the actions of the Crown are entitled to full, complete recognition and recess, even 146 years later. And that's why I mentioned contemporary potential issues and breaches, because in 100 years' time, will there be whānau standing here asking us to relook at ourselves? So again, I recognise the whānau of Mokomoko and recognise this is a door that opens for a relationship and a continued conversation about the treaty settlements in that beautiful part of the country, whakatohia. We really do need to educate everybody about the story of this rangatira and about the process of what we've gone through, and learn from the fact that a well-intentioned pardon that is not correctly negotiated will lead to the need for another negotiation. And I think that learning is a very powerful issue within this particular bill, Mr. Speaker. We all, Māori, Tauiwi, Pākehā katoa, need to listen and respect the reason why the descendants of this tūpuna have had to come to Wellington, to this house today, and why he was killed, and who benefited, and who paid. The story is an opportunity, but it is also, as I think Honourable Parakura Horomi said, it doesn't finish the pain and hurt, but it allows for the beginning of a healing. So the Green Party is very happy to support this bill through all its stages. He mihi nui ki te whānau mokomoko, tēnā koutou katoa.
Speaker.
Honourable Simon Bridges.
Tēnā koutou, Mr. Speaker. It's every